Matt Morris at mattmorris.com. Thought I would record a quick show for you guys on some tips on how to be a great public speaker. And I am holding myself away in I'm actually in a business center in a hotel. My house is down the road, but it's filled up with people. So kind of got away, and the little lounge area got filled up with people. So popped over here to get a little quietness, and I thought I'd just kind of open up and share with you guys some insights on how to be a good public speaker. And these are some things that I've learned over the years, and what I've been going through here is my laptop is outlining my talk and kind of formatting the talk. And so I just want to give you guys kind of what I go through when I'm preparing. Now, this will be the biggest talk that I've ever done, 22,000 people, so super excited. And one of the things that's really empowering is I have a lot of certainty that I'm going to deliver in a big way. Now, am I going to be perfect on stage? No, not at all. And that's lesson number one in being a great public speaker is stop worrying about trying to be perfect. Stop worrying about trying to be perfectly polished. Sometimes, and maybe you guys have experienced this, you go to an event and you see a speaker who, it's like, they never say they've gone through the Toastmasters deal, and they're just perfectly polished, right? And it kind of comes off as inauthentic, I believe, when you're too polished. Now, if you were to go to someone like, look at someone like Les Brown. Now, Les is as polished as they can be, and that comes from obviously many years of doing that. But the one thing that Les has going for him is, even though, he's super polished, he is super authentic. He's on stage laughing at himself and cutting up, and so, he obviously works that into his talk, and so that's one of the reasons why he's so powerful. So, one of my lessons for me that it took was to not be so polished. And one of the things that's interesting is I used to, in fact, still, I give tons of presentations, and I was a 24-year-old kid, and I'd get up and I'd screw it up, and I'd kind of lose where I was, and I had a really high enrollment ratio, and I got to the point where I did it so often, I could go through, the whole presentation, never say never say and I would deliver what I thought was an amazing presentation. It was like, wow, I killed it. And I had less people sign up. And it was really kind of perplexing. Why would less people sign up? And I finally came to the realization that I was too polished. I was just being too perfect. I wasn't being myself. I was trying to be cool. So lesson number 2, don't be cool. So I went back and I started just being myself, kind of cutting up, and if I screwed up, I'd say something like, where was I? And enrollment ratios went up again. And so I got a handful of notes here that as I'm reading through my talk, some of the things that I focus on when I'm creating a talk. And so number 1, when you get on stage, you want to be filled with energy. You want to have kind of an inner glow. You want to have an inner smile, big smile before you take the stage. Now, personally, what I do before I get on stage, I am giving affirmations. Number 1, I'll pray and I'll ask God to give me the right words. I'll ask Him to allow me to make an impact in people's lives. And I'm going to be giving affirmations. I won't go through them all, but, I just say some really powerful things, and that gets me excited. If you're nervous, say, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Say that over and over and over again with enthusiasm and excitement, and let the excitement overtake the nervousness. And so, that's one. Know what you're going to say first. One of the things in, getting on stage, if you don't know exactly what you're going to say, sometimes, you can look a little bit like an amateur. You get up and it's like, okay, so thank you for coming out. It's really an honor to be on stage, and that's really just fluff. So know what you're going to say when you get on stage. Know how you're going to start and know how you're going to finish. What people remember is the beginning and the end. So one of the other things when you take the stage, it's always good to say something funny. Now, a lot of speakers, Joel Osteen as an example, he tells a joke every single time he gets on stage. He tells a joke. Now, you don't have to tell a joke. I don't say a joke. In fact, most comedians don't really tell jokes. They tell funny stories and, things about life and things like that. So I usually try and work in some type of funny story when I'm on stage, some kind of funny saying, something like that. And so what that does is it loosens up the crowd. If you're in a new crowd, this weekend I'm speaking to a crowd that pretty much, most of them will know me. So I don't really have to spend a ton of time telling my story and things like that. But if you are addressing an audience that is new for you, you will definitely want to tell a little bit of your story. You want to kind of open up so they get to know you, because knowing and trusting, that's a big thing. People feel like they kind of need to trust you and know you before they can allow you to make an impact. So that's one thing. The other thing that's really super important is engagement throughout your talk. And they have all these statistics or studies that I've heard about over the years that says the human mind will lose train of thought every few minutes. And so if you're not engaging the crowd, they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner tonight. They're thinking about what they did over the weekend. You've lost them. And so you want to be engaging with the crowd. So how do you be engaging? One is vary your tonality. Don't stay the same tone and the same speed the whole talk. Some speakers will get up and they will just super motivated, but the motivation and the excitement and their tonality is really, it's like they're speaking very loud and very fast. You lose the effect if you stay really loud the whole time. So vary your tonality. When you have something that's important, slow it down a little. Maybe talk a little softer. And then when you get excited, talk a little bit louder and faster. And it's kind of like, think of it like a roller coaster. Think of it like a symphony. And, you're conducting, this ride for your audience. And so you want to be entertaining to listen to. And what helps you be entertaining to listen to is when you vary your tonality. So that's super important. The other thing, how do you engage the crowd? Ask them to raise their hand. How many of you this? And when you're asking the crowd to raise their hand, raise your hand, raise it really high. Get engagement with the crowd. If no one's raising their hand and it's a question that obviously everyone should say yes to or raise their hand to, I'll say, come on, I flew all the way from Texas to be here. How many of you this? And you get engagement with the crowd. Another thing that you can say, repeat after me, this. Now, I'm not a big fan of, going through saying long sentences, sentence after sentence, say this, repeat after me, and you go through a bunch of different long sentences trying to motivate the crowd. That can work from time to time, but the purpose is really, engagement. And so say this. You can fill in the blank. Birds of a feather flock together. And just one example, not anything I've probably ever used on stage, but that's an example where everyone knows what to say. So that re-engages the crowd. Another thing that you can do, use people's names, before the talk. If you're in a, a smaller type setting, get to meet some people. If there's name badges on, that helps. So calling out people's names, that engages the crowd. One of the things that I do a lot is I'll say, write this down. So I'm getting them to engage by writing something down. So those are some things that you can do to engage the crowd. Make sure every 5 minutes or so, minimum, you're engaging the crowd. The best speakers are always engaging the crowd every few minutes. They've got the crowd saying something, writing something down. I remember seeing Mark Victor Hansen, speak, and he's always saying, give high fives, touch yourself on the temple and say this, things like that. Look at the person next to you and say this. Tony Robbins all the time, he's having you get up and give hugs and shoulder massages. So those are a handful of things that you can do to engage the crowd. Now, one of the other things that is important to do throughout your talk is have some quotes that you have memorized that you can say during your talk. Quotes really hit home. It's what people remember. And you want to leave people with learning points. Leave people with learning points. See, when you just get up and tell your story and you don't have any learning points to go along with the story, they got entertained, but they're a lot less likely to actually remember you and remember your talk if you didn't give them something to write down. So quotes are a great thing to, that people will write down and have you, in their journal forever. One of the things Jim Rohn talked about was, being in people's journals long term. So have some quotes, have some personal stories. Make sure you have, what I like to do is if I've got a certain learning point, I'm going to have the point, I'm going to have a quote that goes along with that, and then I'm going to have a story or an analogy that goes along with the learning point. The other thing is humor. Mix humor throughout your talk. Doing it in the beginning is very powerful. If you can do it a couple more times throughout your talk, even better. My mentor taught me years ago, be entertaining first and informative second, because when you can distract the guard, you can really get in and have people hear your message. And then the last thing is, just again, know how you're going to finish. Know how you're going to end. What's the last thing that you're going to say? If there's something that you can say at the very ending that might be high impact, like high energy, that's a great thing. If you're not a high energy person, don't try to be high energy. Leave them with something that might be a little more deep and impactful. Sometimes finishing with a really emotional story, even an emotional quote or something like that, is something that will have people remember you long after you're gone. And I'm going to give you one last thing. This is one of the best things that I ever got from Les Brown and from one of his speaker trainings is, what can you say that's going to be part of the car ride conversation home? What can you say that's going to be so creative, so unique, so different, so funny that on the car ride home, people are talking about whatever it was you said? So there are some tips. If you got some value out of this, please feel free to share this around and comment below. What did you like best? What was your favorite tip? That's what I want to hear from you. What was your favorite tip of what I covered? Please put that in the comments. I always read every comment. So I love to hear what kind of value you're getting out of this. And if you've not yet subscribed to mattmorris.com, go there. If you're not there already, put your name and email address in, and I'll send you my 5-day free video series, and you will get these videos every time I release them. I'll shoot them over to you by email. Thanks so much. Let's go make life an adventure.